When I was a kid in the 1980s, I only cared about one thing and one thing only. What were the new Nintendo games coming out? I was a huge Nintendo nerd. I remember getting my NES for Christmas in 1988, and I've been hooked on video games ever since. Over the years, I've collected and played nearly every title that the NES has to offer. So I thought, why not do a top 20 favorite NES games? It's going to be hard to boil them down to just 20, so I came up with 4 categories to help me rank them. 1. Graphics. 2. Difficulty. 3. Fun factor. And 4. Nostalgia. With each category getting a 1 to 5 score. Then I add them up and rank them by the score they received. So without any further ado, let's get into my top 20 all-time favorite NES games.
Number 20, Blaster Master. What do you get when a kid falls down a hole in the earth trying to catch his pet frog that gets loose, and you find a hidden tank? You get Blaster Master. You battle through 8 challenging stages with your trusty sidekick Sophia the Third, going from driving around in 2D environments to getting out on foot and exploring hidden caves filled with radioactive monsters who have never seen humans before. I always love the environments and soundtrack in this game. It's very fun and challenging since it has no save feature or battery backup. So when you gotta beat it in one sitting, that's why they call it NES Hard, and that's why it's number 20 on my list. Number 19, Metroid. You play as a space bounty hunter named Samus Aran, who protects the galaxy from evil space aliens in this non-linear science fiction action game. You feel like a rat in a maze when you play this. Isolated atmosphere and creepy music that lets you know you are alone on this planet, and the only way to survive is to look for special suit upgrades like the Morph Ball and the Ice Beam, which will help you backtrack to already explored areas to search for secret items and paths to reach and destroy the Mother Brain. So, if you want a good time, play this at night with nothing but the TV on in your room, just like I did back in the day, and that's why it's number 19 on my list. Number 18, Tetris. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw my dad's friends huddled around playing Tetris, I wasn't exactly interested. But when his buddy Max took a smoke break, he said, "Hey, go ahead and see how many lines you can get." Needless to say, from that moment on, I was hooked. Tetris is a very challenging and addicting puzzle game, originally made by Russian video game designer Alexei Pajitnov, that uses 7 puzzle pieces that you rotate and turn to create as many horizontal lines as possible. The main purpose of the game is to get a Tetris, which is 4 full horizontal lines in a row, which, trust me, it isn't easy. Add difficulty level select and an iconic soundtrack, and you had the formula for a masterpiece, and a game that I still play today, trying to beat Howard's high score on that leaderboard. It's all about those bragging rights, and that's why it's number 18 on my list. Number 17, Kung Fu. When Karate Kid came out in theaters, it seemed like everybody and their grandma was a karate fan, me included. So when I played Kung Fu, I absolutely loved it. It's a pretty simple concept, but tough to master. The main goal of the game is to rescue your girlfriend, so you must beat all 5 floors of the Devil's Temple to reach the leader of the game, Mr. X. I had many great memories of playing this on arcade, so when it came home on the NES, the controls were tight and very responsive. I didn't stop till I reached the top and got my sweet young thing back in my arms, and that's why it's number 17 on my list. Number 16, Excitebike. When I was younger, I always rode my bike, and most of the time, I put an aluminum can in the back wheel, so it would sound like a dirt bike when I rode it. It was just so cool. Maybe it was because of Johnny Lawrence. Anyways, when I went to a friend's house, and he had this game, we played it non-stop. It's an easy to pick up and play game. I love cutting off other riders right before a big jump, or landing on top of them when I get some major air. But the main reason it's one of my favorite Nintendo games is because of the track editor. I used to spend hours making my own tracks just so I could test them out afterward. The only lame part is that you couldn't save them. But regardless, this game still makes me happy when I pop it in, and that's why it's number 16 on my list. Number 15, a Stein X. Huge sprites and awesome enemies are why this game is one of my favorites. It has a unique element to the game where you can choose to hack and slash quickly with your weapon, which does little damage, or save up your power bar and go for a strong attack. It's an added element of choice of not knowing what firepower I needed for the enemies ahead. Plus, you have magic spells that can freeze enemies, or the fire blast, which causes massive damage. Good animations, huge sprites, and the ability to cast magic spells is the reason this game is number 15 on my list. Number 14, Metal Storm. It's 2501, and you're an M308 gunner combat robot with the ability to reverse gravity at the push of a button. Human race needs your protection from anything in the solar system that might try and destroy Earth. Your mech can get power-ups like the shield and the power booster that help you in your journey. You can also save all your special weapons and your lives left after each level. It's unfortunate that this game nowadays is very pricey to own, because I wish more people would be able to play this. So if you can somehow get your hands on a copy, play this game, because after all these years, it still holds up, and that's why it's number 14 on my list. Number 13, Batman. When it comes to superheroes, one that always stuck out to me was Batman. He was rich, had all the gadgets, and all the women wanted him. So when I rented Batman back in the day, I loved it. It's a side-scrolling action platformer. But what is Batman without all his gadgets? But don't worry, this game has them all, like the grappling hook or the iconic weapons like the Batarang. You battle through 5 stages covering the entire city of Gotham, like the streets, chemical plant, and the sewers. The game had awesome cutscenes, amazing music, and a great presentation. I still play through this game at least once a year. It's that good, and that's why it's number 13 on my list. Number 12, DuckTales. When I was younger, cartoons were one of my favorite things to watch, and one of my favorites was DuckTales. So when I saw it was being released for the NES, I knew I wanted to play it. You play as Scrooge McDuck, traveling the world trying to collect all the treasure and become even richer. Your main weapon is your walking cane. You use it by jumping on everyone's head, stringing together multiple enemies just to get to higher parts of the level you can't reach normally. You play through 5 levels in any order you want, with amazing fluid gameplay animations and arguably the single best level soundtrack in NES history on the Moon stage is why this game is number 12 on my list. Number 11, Tecmo Bowl. Growing up, I wasn't much of a football fan. I never played the sport in school either. But when I would go to all my dad's friends' house who had Nintendos, they would all have the same game on the console if they were playing, and that was Tecmo Bowl. From its basic but addicting gameplay to the simple offensive and defensive plays, this game was a huge hit with adults. From the heated arguments because somebody was trying to use the Raiders and Bo Jackson, Bo Jackson was unstoppable in the running game. In today's terms, he was OP. To this day, I still prefer playing this simple game over the crazy immersive newer Madden games. It was simple, fun, and competitive, and that's why it's number 11 on my list.
Tune in next week when we cover numbers 10 through 1. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, keep it retro.